when you were willing to admit to yourself that the greatest value that you carried was not in your ability to present perfect, but was in your ability to present the person. It turned into something really beautiful because you put the person first rather than putting the polished version first.
Absolutely.
Every great leader you admire, no matter how much success they show, has something they're still working through. Today, we're not talking about the version of them you already know. We're talking about the version they don't always show. Well, Gabriella, I so appreciate you being with us today. And I think if you're good with it, we should just get into it.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so I would love to know from you. I know that, historically you have always been somebody who was an active pursuit of your career. You're somebody who, and I'm going to use this word, but I'm going to use this word, I think I'm going to try to give it a new definition.
Okay.
That normally I think I would say the word success. But I think the more that I've gotten to know you, the more I would use the word to say intentional. That especially prior to becoming a mother, that you have always sort of lived a very intentional life. And that for a long period of time, the intentionality was to yourself, to your relationships, and then to your career. I think if the folks that are listening, whether they're a mom or a dad or neither, but they're sort of in a space, I don't think anyone told me what it was going to be like to become something different when I became a parent. And again, my experience is very different than yours because I did not birth a child. Let's be very clear about that. I did not birth a child. So, but I think I would love to know, as you sort of have navigated what is the most recent yearish so of your life, but in that, I, at least from the outside, perceive that you have maintained a high level of, we'll use the word intentionality, right? Synonymous with success in the things you care about. However, I don't think most of us get a window into what that's really like. We just see the proverbial highlight reel to go like, I don't know, every time I see them, they look awesome. So I guess it's awesome. And I don't necessarily know it's always that way. So I would love to just jump straight into it and go, what is something currently around that intentionality, around yourself, around your career, around your relationships, around being a mom, around that is hard and difficult and that is not what you thought when you decided you were going to sort of jump into this new lane?
I feel like it's important to just kind of share that the journey to motherhood was really long. It was 5 years. And so for me, part of my entire identity was my career. Being a mom was really not something on my radar. It wasn't, the top 3 goal that I had in my early 20s. And I worked really, really hard. And I love what I do. I love my job. I love the industry that I'm in. And it wasn't until that I met my husband that, it's very cliche, but you meet the love of your life and you're like, oh my gosh, we need to make some babies. And so I've had to, during the journey of trying to be, starting a family, I wasn't used to a challenge that I couldn't overcome myself. So meaning in my job, in my career, I could get through any problem. I worked really hard and I was able to succeed. And we dealt with infertility and all of a sudden there wasn't anything I could do to overcome it. So I think that, for me, I don't give up. And we were very blessed that with doctors and science and all of the things that we were able to have this miracle baby. But along the way, my career kept growing and elevating during this very hard time. And, I think that with challenge and chaos, this isn't for everyone, but for me, it gave me drive to keep going.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this, because I think that you sort of are giving light to, I think there's a lot of people in the world. Well, maybe there's not. Maybe I just talk to a lot of them. There probably are not as many as I think there are. But there's enough. There are plenty of people in the world who I think you made a really significant point. You said, for the majority of my life, up until the pursuit of parenthood, had been able to maintain control of my ability to be successful.
For sure.
Then was sort of come to grips with maybe there was something out there that I really wanted.
Yep.
That I actually wasn't in control of whether or not I was or was not going to get that. Yeah. Now, to your point thus far, like wonderful and hopeful, beautiful end to one chapter of that story, because
for sure,
your child is amazing.
Yes, thank you.
And so, but I think talk to us a little bit about what was it like to sort of reconcile, and maybe it wasn't reconciled until it was over. Maybe it's still not. I don't know. Of that feeling of, man, I want this, but I feel out of control. I feel like I can't do it. It's not me anymore.
Yeah.
Just what was that like?
Yeah. I mean, so challenging. I think that, there was a part of me that really had to dig deep and decide who I was.
Okay, let's pause there for a second. Because prior to this event, who you were was somebody who couldn't be stopped.
Yeah, totally. 100%.
And a lot of, and I'm going to use this in the positive sense, and a lot of pride.
Yeah.
Not bad pride.
No.
I sort of separate, by the way, just to know, I separate pride and proud. I think there are people who can be very prideful in the sense that they care a lot. Yeah. And there are people who can walk around very proud, meaning that like, it's not always for the greatest, right? So
totally.
A sense of pride you were able to carry.
Yeah.
That there really wasn't much that you had faced that you hadn't been able to do.
It's true.
And so now you were sort of in the process of beginning to discover, who am I if I'm not defined as the person who can do anything?
It's true. And then also, I wasn't going to let myself fail in any other category.
So as a compensation, therefore, completely. Watch me crush.
Watch me crush. Yeah. So and so it was, one of those things that, okay, I'm dealing with something super emotional and mentally draining, financially, hard. And I have my personal career goals that I am still really focused on. I still really want to be the best wife and partner, friend, daughter. There's so many things. And there were so many times, and I think I walked more during that journey just by myself, of just, who am I right now? What do I want next? Is this worth all of this struggle? And ultimately, I think my personality I use hardship and I use that feeling as motivation.
How do you think, and I don't know if able is the correct word, but I think there's a lot of us that want to be able to do that. I think there's a lot of us that want to be able to say, bring me hardship because it's going to make me better.
Yeah.
But until the hardship comes, and then we're like, actually,
just kidding,
make it easy and make it better.
Exactly.
So what do you feel like was the mechanism or mechanisms that you feel like allowed you to be able to say, in the midst of it being really hard, and we know this is not always an absolute, but
of course,
what do you feel like you were able to do to go like, well, this is really hard, and because of that, I want to try to use that as fuel rather than as a way to slow me down.
Yeah. I've been in hospitality my entire career, and it's the industry of people and connection. And I have a really large responsibility to my team, to the people that work for me and look up to me as an example of strength and polish. They see me human because I think as a leader, it's so important, but I have a lot of empathy. I lead with my heart first. And so that was my inspiration. I think that, also the way that I grew up, my mom was an immigrant, and, I was raised really traditional and Sicilian. And, I saw what they gave up in the struggle to come to this country to give us this life. And so I think for me, I've always taken that as, I have to succeed, and so I think for myself, that does give me the drive and motivation to keep going, because I want to make people proud.
So do you feel like in the journey of sort of rediscovering and redefining who I am,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that it was equal parts a reminder of where I come from, what I am doing?
Yeah.
It was at equal parts, let me not forget what is true, and equal parts, there's a portion that I may not ever know because this is sort of like the being and this is the becoming. Yeah,
absolutely. For sure.
How do you sort of manage the tension between being, this is me, take it or leave it.
Yep.
Sometimes I'm spicy, sometimes I'm not. I can't change that. And the becoming of, there is a part and pieces of me that I don't even know that exist yet.
Yeah.
But I want to pursue those things. How do you find sort of the tension? Because I think I sort of see those in, we could say, the career and motherhood. We could say the friend, but the partner. We could say, right, there's always, I think, a truth about what exists and a hope for what could come.
Yeah.
How do you find yourself sort of living in the tension of those two things?
Yeah, I think that's such a good question, because I and maybe there's not a true answer to it, because I think there's so many different variables that would come up that would kind of shift, or I may have a better day, tackling both than just the one. And, I think what I learned through this was communication. And that was something really big for me. And I would say, like, during this journey, how I've grown as just a human being and how that kind of has trickled down into my leadership is the way that I communicate in a more real and vulnerable way.
Prior than you did 5 years ago.
Yeah, where it was, I am not going to let anyone see what's going on. And, there becomes a point that being authentic and being true to yourself has a lot of power to it.
Can you be authentic? And this is, I don't know, I'm working out the equation, so this is not a loaded question.
Yeah.
Can someone present themselves as authentic and not be true to themselves?
I think so.
I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't say prior to we're just going to make up a 5-year mark for the sake of our conversation.
Sure.
Because I don't think I would say prior to that 5 years, you were inauthentic.
Totally.
You were presenting
absolutely.
What was true.
Absolutely.
Was it the fullness of what was true? Was it every single truth? Was it, were you fully true to yourself? Maybe, maybe not.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean you were being inauthentic.
Yeah.
However, I heard you say the sort of the journey both of infertility and career and parenthood and maybe gave you the freedom to come back to yourself.
I think so. Yeah. I think
maybe there wasn't the option to not.
I think that there was like a part of me that surrendered a little bit. And I remember talking to Colin and saying, I think I'm going to be really open about this journey because can I swear?
Please.
It's fucking hard. And I think, he looked at me, he's like, okay, that's a choice. Like, this is going to be a journey. There's going to be a lot of highs and lows. And when things are low, it's going to be pretty public. And are you prepared for that? And I said, I think there needs to be more female leaders that are a little bit more open and vulnerable of things that they're going through. And we know women that want really big careers and they have big jobs. Can they have both? Can you succeed at both? And I think that there was just not enough of that around that I wanted to kind of show. And I think that surrendering to this persona where I'm still going to be professional, I'm still going to be everything that I am and was, but I'm going to let you know when I'm struggling, where I'm hurting a little bit, or I had a tough day, and it really blossomed into something really beautiful.
I couldn't agree with you more, and so I'm going to just try to say it back, not because you didn't say it very eloquently. You very much did.
Yeah.
I don't want men who are listening to miss what you said, though, because they think that you're not talking to them.
Yeah.
Because we have a tendency to do that.
Yeah, sure.
So you found when you were willing to admit to yourself that the greatest value that you carried was not in your ability to present perfect, but was in your ability to present the person. Mm-hmm. It turned into something really beautiful because you realized that everybody that you were leading actually wanted to know the person.
Yeah.
And maybe even made you a better leader of people because you put the person first rather than putting the polished version first.
Absolutely.
And your hope was that not only gave other women the ability to recognize that both are possible in each of our own ways, but it's possible to have a great career and to love your partner and to have a child.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it required your ability to come back to yourself and to live in the tension of being and becoming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that motherhood is not the only mechanism for that, for our listeners out there who can't bear children.
Right.
Mostly men. I'm talking to you. Because I think it's a huge misconception in the personal and professional development space that empathy and vulnerability and authenticity are a weakness.
Yes.
And you can't be those and make hard decisions.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be a leader, you need to be able to make the hard call, do the hard thing, and you can't let emotions get in the way.
Yes.
And I think that's bullshit.
Yes. My entire career, I only had male managers and mentors. And a lot of my development was almost suppressing what is natural.
Mm.
And very much what you said is emotion vulnerability could look like weakness.
Right.
And it truly is, can very much be the opposite.
Yeah.
And stronger.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't want to miss, I don't believe either you and I are advocating to make absolute emotional decisions as leaders. No, we didn't say that. I want to make sure that people, and I know you and I know that.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that the audience is not listening and hearing or watching and going, so that's my problem is I need to only think emotionally. And I think that's a really unique space. And to some degree, it's sort of on the periphery because I don't get to see and know everything. But I think that's something that I find you to be really good at is the ability to maintain accountability and responsibility with humanity.
Absolutely.
And they can exist.
Yes.
I think to really be really successful, they have to exist together. You can absolutely get someone to do the thing that you want them to do if if it's all logic, all reason, and just all accountability all the time. Sure, you can get a result.
Yeah.
Is that result sustainable? Do you have high retention? Do you have low attrition? Sure. We can go on all the other metrics that we can say everybody's replaceable and that screw everyone. Sure. But that's not necessarily the place where maybe go back to use your word. Maybe that's not necessarily the place though that anything actually blossoms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You got to have sun and shade to grow.
Love that.
You got to have water and you got to have, right? Like
absolutely.
Otherwise it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Just to shine sun all day. At some point it dies. It thrives for a little while.
Right.
But at some point it dies.
Yeah. It's just not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
Thank you for listening to this week's podcast. Join us next week for the part 2 conclusion of our conversation, and don't forget to join us this month for our leadership training. You can register you and your team at rockygarza.com/confidence.